Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, hello. How are you today? How are you doing today? It's your English teacher, Linda G., your English confidence coach from Speak English with Confidence Now. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be here, and welcome to today's live session. And you picked a really good one. You've picked a really good live session to participate in today. If you've ever sat in a meeting thinking, what on earth did they just say? Don't worry, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. So today we are going to look at some super practical business phrases, some colloquial expressions, some phrasal verbs that you will hear during conversations at work because we're focusing on business English after all. All right, now before we dive in, I encourage you to check out my practice list at www.speakenglishwithconfidencenow.com/list. You'll find there many different idioms and phrasal verbs, and you'll find them very useful for you. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with some business phrases for meetings and conversations. So number one, these are all challenging ones, okay? They're not easy ones, they're more advanced ones. So the first one is, let's double down on this. Double down. And this means to commit even more to a strategy or idea. So when you double down on something, you increase your effort, you increase your commitment or your investment in a particular strategy or plan or idea, usually because it's showing promise or you strongly believe in it. So here's an example. The feedback's been great. Let's double down on this campaign. And of course, every time I mention a certain phrasal verb or colloquial or any expression, if you've heard it before, write it down in the comments section because I want to know what you've heard before. And if you've never heard it before, of course, I'd like you to write that down as well. All right, here's another example. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. And this means that it's something that's difficult to convince others about. Here's a great example. A price increase right now would be a tough sell. That means it would be too difficult to convince our buyers to purchase this product. It would be a tough sell, something difficult to convince others about. That's a tough sell. That means that is very difficult to convince other people about. All right, number 3. Let's table this for now. This means to postpone discussing something until later. So you might hear, we're out of time. Let's table this for now, which means we don't have time right now to talk about this. So we'll have to postpone this topic for another time. Let's table this for now. Number 4, we are in uncharted territory. Uncharted territory is another business phrase, idiom. It's an idiom. And this means a new, unfamiliar, or risky situation. For example, with this new market, we're in uncharted territory, right? So with this new product, maybe you want to launch a new product in a different country. Well, that could be uncharted territory for you. Maybe it's very unfamiliar. You're not familiar with the country's culture, for example. So you're in uncharted territory, which could be risky. All right, number 5. That's a stretch goal. Stretch goal is an ambitious, challenging target. So, for example, 5,000 new subscribers in a month, that's a stretch. That's a stretch goal. So, how are you doing so far? Now, if you're watching live, drop in your favorite phrase so far in the chat. And of course, if you are watching the replay, I want you to write down your favorite expression so far. And we have a lot more expressions to go. So now we're going to move on to modern business colloquialisms. These are casual conversational phrases that you'll hear in English-speaking offices. So number one, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email. That means to send me an email. It doesn't mean, no, it doesn't mean that. So for example, if you need anything, shoot me an email, right? Just shoot me an email when you want to meet again. Shoot me an email. Number two, on my radar. This means I'm aware of it. It's on my mind. So here's an example. That issue's on my radar. That issue's on my radar. So that issue is on my mind. I'm thinking about that issue, or I'm aware of this particular issue. It's on my radar. Number three, low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. And I want you to imagine this one. Let's pretend that you're in front of an apple tree and there are some fruits that are hanging really low on a branch. That helps you to understand a bit more what the low-hanging fruit means. So this means an easy task or an obvious opportunity. So in other words, it would be so easy to take that apple because it's hanging very low on the branch. So here's an example. Let's tackle the low-hanging fruit first. Let's go after the low-hanging fruit first, right? So that means that if you have an audience that's fully engaged and they're already your subscribers, well, of course, they're the low-hanging fruit, right? That is an obvious group because they are already enjoying your products or your posts, for example, if you're into media. All right, number four, in the weeds. In the weeds. This means stuck in too many details. So here's an example. We're getting in the weeds here. Let's zoom out and focus on the big picture. So when you're stuck in the weeds, you're just focusing on just too many details. And maybe that's what's not important at the time, right? You might not want to focus on the weeds right now at all, because that's just too many details. You want to focus on the big picture for your marketing campaign, for example. All right, let's keep going. Number five is to close the loop. This means to finish something, right? And you could see a loop like a zero. If it's opened, something remains to be done. Something needs to be done. But if you want to close the loop, it means to finish something or to confirm that it's done. Can you close the loop with marketing by Friday? Can you finish completing the marketing, maybe the marketing strategy by Friday? Can you close the loop? All right, now which one of these have you heard before? Or maybe you've used some of these before too. Now let me know in the comments section. You might want to write down the ones that you've heard before and maybe write down those that you've never heard before. All right, we're going to wrap up this live with some essential office phrasal verbs that you've definitely heard or that you will definitely hear if you work with native English speakers. So number one, map out. Map out means to carefully plan something. So let's map out our next quarter's strategy. Let's carefully plan our next quarter's strategy. So map out. Number two, zero in on. Zero in on means to focus very carefully on something. So for example, we need to zero in on our ideal client. We need to really focus very carefully on our ideal client. So zero in on. Zero in on. Number three, bring someone up to speed. That means to update someone on what's happened so far. Can you bring Sarah up to speed on this project? Bring me up to speed. What's going on? Bring me up to speed. What's going on? That means update me. Let me know what is happening. Bring me up to speed. All right, number four, hand off. To give responsibility for something to someone else. And you can see my hands. Hand off, right? I'll hand off the project to you once I'm done. So once I'm done the project, I'm going to give it to you. I'll hand it off. Give responsibility for something to someone else. And number five, hammer out. Hammer out. These are all great phrasal verbs, and we will hear them. So hammer out means to discuss something in detail and reach an agreement. So we'll hammer out the details during tomorrow's call. That means that during tomorrow's call, you will discuss all the details. You'll hammer it out. Hammer out. All right, there you have it. 15 practical and more advanced business English expressions that you could start using right away to start sounding more natural and more fluent, and of course, more confident at work. And yes, please do write them in the comments section, right? Write how you could use them. How can you use these expressions at work? So you can write down some examples of sentences that you could say at work during one of the meetings using one of these expressions. And of course, if you want to practice these phrases with me one-on-one, I'd love to be your teacher. I'd love to be your teacher. So I'm going to include the link for a free trial session. I'll include it in the discussion as well. Thank you for hanging out with me today. You have been amazing. I can't wait to read your comments. I will see you next week, same time, same place, same channel. Take care, everyone. Bye.